The following video contains controversial subjects, so this is a trigger warning. You have been warned. So the following are things that I wish I knew when I got started in this hobby.
Because I believe people are very, very intelligent, but the information gets manipulated a lot and people like to cause, fake stirs and stuff.
But if you're not new to the hobby, I hope you find this also entertaining. So I have the following 10 controversial subjects in scale modeling.
Here's where Cameron goes berserk.
Now, the order of this is kind of just winging it, to be honest. This is just for fun. Take it as it is.
Whether that's still
I'm sorry, I really don't. What are we doing?
Now, also, this is really meant to be more of entertainment. So, hopefully there's not a just explosive chat that happens and everybody is like, "You're a complete idiot. You're wrong."
Oh, this really pisses me off. But go ahead. It really pisses me off.
These are my opinions when it comes to the subject and some of my observations. So, number 10, the hobby is dying. Now, you see this all the time, and it's really just evolving, and it's very, very different from what we saw 30 years ago. Very different. You're not necessarily going into just a drugstore and seeing some kits and all that. And then the type of kits completely are changing. There is a gigantic rise in Gundam Gunpla kits, and that is kind of taking over the hobby. And if you look at that, and the numbers are kind of similar. When you look at a lot of clubs, from what I gather from when I first started, they're seeming pretty equal and kind of stagnant might be the right word, and wrong word, to be honest. So, no, it's evolving. I wouldn't say that it's dying. The other thing that people look at is hobby shops. And they say hobby shops are going away and all this. Well, yes, they are. But look at retail in general. A lot of it's going on to online and things like that. So, it's evolving. Number 9, gatekeeping. So, definitely for you beginners, you're going to run into this and just kind of nod. Oh, okay. Gatekeepers are the type of people that say, a real modeler does this.
How sad is this?
If you're a real modeler, you don't build Tamiya kits because they're too easy. Oh, and Gundam kits, oh, that's just snap tight on steroids and that's easy stuff. Real modelers will scratch build. Real modelers will use an airbrush, whatever their qualification to say that a real modeler does a certain thing. You get into that.
What is this?
And it's kind of stupid. A lot of people realize this is a hobby, right? We're not getting into a professional development and things where we're actually getting into,
What on earth are you on about?
Let's say an EMT kind of thing. Very wrong. If you do things wrong in that, it's bad. If you're a pilot and you're doing things wrong. So don't take it so seriously, people. Now, of course, there are some things, some advice that can be bad that'll you want to ignore. So take everything as an opinion, especially online, and just move on with it.
Look, don't ask me to participate in your stupid crap if you don't like the way I do it.
And when we talk about what real modelers are, the thing that's interesting is you could always level up. So the people that are like, well, you got to build older kits, the ones that actually take some modeling skills. You could say, oh, what, you think that? Oh, that's sweet. That's a real modeler? Oh, no. You have to 100% scratch build everything, honey. No. You build out of a kit? Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, what, you lucky my friend's holding me. You lucky, because I'll tear your head off.
So, it's all comparison. It's a hobby. So 8, reboxing. What is a reboxing? How does that happen? What is that really? And how do you need to look out for it and be aware? So some hobby manufacturers are going to either use somebody else's kit, or they're going to use molds that were developed maybe even 50 years ago. Then they're going to put on some maybe new decals, cooler box. Sometimes like Airfix will do it, and they put it as kind of like their legacy stuff, which that I kind of like because you can see nostalgia. I just wish they marketed a little better and said like legacy set or something like that, but you can kind of get a little bit of an idea. But those molded well before I was born. Another example, and I'm not trying to dog on them, obviously I like it because I own it, but like the Hobby 2000 kit looks like a brand new box. It's a newer company, everything's there and everything, but when you get into the plastic, I believe this is all just Hasegawa plastic. I'll correct myself in post. And then it does come with some cool things, like it's got the masks, and then you've got, you know, brush decals and things like that. So it's a cool little kit, but keep that in mind. Revel is a very egregious group with that. They are going to even jack up the price for certain things, and it's something that they originally designed decades and decades ago. So just because it looks like it's a new kit, just because it's on the shelf, doesn't mean it's equal to the one next to it. The one next to it maybe was designed 5 years ago or something like that. So gotta watch out. It's a little bit of a trick in the industry, and you know, if you're just aware, then it's not big, but you might be taken for a loop. Number 7, Facebook and the S word. Hopefully this doesn't get me demonetized, but like the certain symbol that was used in Nazi prolifically, and you'll get into it on all sorts of aircraft. Now, with that,
wait, let me explain something to you.
Facebook has some rules, and so a lot of the clubs and different groups are going to say that you must blur them out. Keep in mind, it's not the club saying you must do this because we decided so, and that's not what's happening. It's not their decision with it. Facebook could remove them, and with Facebook's decision, it has to do with, well, we want to eliminate it completely because some groups are going to ruin it for everybody and use it, you know, as a hate group, and that's bad. So it's kind of over caution with it. There's not anything like, well, we just want to whitewash history and all this. That's not their opinion, but there is a lot of good points to online and stuff. I don't think we should whitewash history and like say, you know, just remove it and this. So there's a big debate on that. It's their decision, whatever. I'm not going to take it too personal. Now, if somebody on the flip side of building like German aircraft and things like that, why are you building stuff of the evil people and all this? And that's where I'm on the other side, right? With history should not be forgotten. We can't relive these things. You know, I think that's part of history. And to be honest, I kind of just like their technology, to be selfish on there. So that's a whole can of worms. That's technically a twofer on that one. So now let's talk about some controversial liquids. Yes, this is the original packaging for the most part. Pledge Future Shine. So this stuff comes up in groups all the time. I started using it when I got into the hobby, and it's fairly good. All that long-term effects, it kind of all depends. This one's obviously yellowing and it's very gloppy, but I could probably still use it perfectly fine and it would work. Now, my personal take on it, there's a lot better clears out there. And so rather try to find like the replacement of this, which there is some kind of stuff that you could probably use and all this. There's a bunch of replacements out there. So do I want to save $2 to get, you know, this big bottle like this might cost you $10 versus, you know, something in the store getting this whole big, it seems like a big value. And, you know, there is some value, and we should also definitely look for value in the industry, in the hobby. However, there is some challenges that I've noticed with this over years. Now, it is pretty good, but it is designed for floors. And one thing that's interesting with paint, you put over different layers, and it doesn't really generally attack the other layer, especially like with acrylics. However, like Pledge reacts with itself, it's kind of weird. So some touch-ups, and that might be an actual benefit, but you have to be a little bit careful with that. There's some other stuff we could go into. You know, there's a lot of highly prolific, advanced, amazing modelers out there that still use this. So it's not necessarily like it's bad necessarily, but my personal choice, I would rather use something specific for the hobby and trust it a little bit better. So number 5 is a fun one, especially even if you've been to clubs, if you've been online. This is prolific, and it is you are over weathering your aircraft.
Outcomes. Look at that. Overcooked on the bottom, crispy as and it looks like Gandhi's flip-flop.
That's why I made some stickers a while ago to say you are under weathering your aircraft, because it's kind of just funny. Now, if you want to build your aircraft, your tank, whatever, as factory fresh, there is zero problem with that. It's legit. That is how it once was. There's no problem with that. We have plenty of people that they may present an aircraft on like the worst day it has ever had, or maybe the crew chief just neglected it. It's been sitting there, yada, 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 whatever the rationale for it, it's there. And you got to remember, okay, some people's hobby is to have fun. Weird thought, but to have fun. And so with that, you have people that love weathering. There's kind of some artistic effects to it. Like, I love it. And so you have that. You also get into some people that use kind of over the top weathering techniques with, you know, do some kind of tonal variety in their list. I'm trying to remember the specific word you armor people are using. But some of the people would look at that and go, oh, that's unrealistic. Maybe, but they did it well, what they're trying to do. So what? No harm. So that comes kind of back to gatekeeping, where, you know, we are building mini representatives of something real in life. And so you must build it specific and exact replica, and, you know, so you have to have the weathering be exact and all this, and it has to be a historical piece and all this, which I get historical, because if you build it non-historical, and especially you put it in a magazine, somebody else is going to go, oh, okay, yeah, that plane was red and blue. But no, it was actually green and red or something like that, right? And so I get their side of the story, but once again, I'm going to say this a ton. It's a hobby. So there's that. And then the people that say that aircraft never got like that. How would you know? You've met every single aircraft, every airframe in that series. You've met it and looked at it through its whole entire life. You know, there's no circumstance that it could ever be dirty.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
No, there's reasons why it could. It's definitely within reason. Show a bunch of pictures as I'm talking about this, where aircraft does get pretty nasty, especially when you get into some different subjects like Navy. Some World War II, I highly doubt that they did a car wash, you know, in the African theater in World War II just to make sure the tanks are not dusty. Nope, don't drink the water. No. We have to reserve that to wash the tanks. Seems just a little bit of a weird rationale to me. Now, on the flip side, there is something that's poor weathering, right? And that's kind of where this started and triggered people, is you have people that will just have this big Sharpie and just do that in the panel lines. Actually, here's a good example of bad, but it's my mule, so don't. But it's like over accentuated and all that, and doesn't look realistic, right? So the thing with weathering is it should be hopefully telling a story of something that happened with it. Why did it get that dirty? Where's the damage? Things like that. But also, plausible, right? So if I imagine a aircraft that's been in the desert for 50 years, in my mind, or with reference, it would look kind of like this, not that somebody sneezed baking soda on it or something, right? So there's good and bad, and I think they just look at the bad weathering and go, oh, that's over weathered. No, it's just poor. And I'm going to say this part, it's controversial, but I think some people say that because they're afraid to actually weather, and they don't want to feel minimized because they don't weather.
You're stepping over a line now. You're stepping over a line. You know you are.
Now, like I said, if you don't weather at all and you build pristine aircraft, that's fine. Just don't take it as offensive when they say it looks like a toy, okay? But it can look like more of a museum piece, where it is in the museum and it's nice and never used kind of thing. So, let's move on. So this one kind of comes into a couple things, but if you're not in a lot of the clubs, you're not in a lot of online things, then you're not too aware of all the different things going on with IPMS.
Isn't this old news? Isn't this old news? I feel like I've talked about this for 6 months.
Big thing, like just the discussion of gold, silver, bronze. We've talked about in a couple of videos. It's my preferred method. It's why I'm involved with the Rocky Mountain Hobby Expo. I think it's the best way to go. But there's a big debate with all of that. There's a lot of controversies that's been going on. And, I heard this one cartoon when I was a kid. That there was a good statement in it. I'm going to take it. That, if you can't say anything nice, then don't say anything wrong. So, all right, now we're going to get into a modeling swear word. Rivet counter. So, what is a rivet counter? Kind of depends on who's defining it. Now, some people will give critique and they will do it well. Are they a rivet counter? No. They're a coach and a friend, a person that's interested in your development in the hobby. A lot of different things with that. Are they a evil rivet counter? No. Now, on the flip side, dicks will be dicks.
What is that? What? What is that? Huh? It's like Barbie's vomit.
You have some people where what they're going to do is they're just going to gum up to your aircraft or you're posting and just be like, yeah, it wasn't that kind of blue. That's wrong. Or, yeah, your weathering looks like crap. Or just, they didn't get that dirty in that theater. And they just give unsolicited advice. And some of them, too, they might know all of these things about that subject and they want to show, look at all what I know.
You know what? I'm not the bad guy because I know more.
And so there's a lot of things with that just cringe, right? Now, the flip side of this is what you do have is just somebody that does give some good critique and is nice. Now, maybe unsolicited, but they're more of, oh, hey, so just you're aware. Now, when we look at Spitfires that are in Battle of the Britain, they would actually have a little bit different markings. So I saw that you said something about Battle of Britain, so it'd be a little bit different markings, and so it'd be just so you're aware for next time. Rivet counter, well, they're counting the rivets in a way, like they're being specific about accuracy and all this. No. I have a friend, John Vickus, that came to me. I remember I spent a lot of time on my Wildcat and everything, and I painted it, I think, even to Eduard's markings and everything. And he nicely came to me and said, hey, can I give you a little bit of feedback on here? I'm like, hell yeah, go for it. And he said, okay, so I've been studying the lights, and those wouldn't be, those formation lights wouldn't be that color. I'm like, oh, really? And then he's absolutely right on that. And now I know for the future, and I'm not going to put formation lights red and green. So it was great. Could that be termed a rivet counter? If you're an idiot, maybe. But so it's used as a derogatory term, and sometimes rightfully used as dicks will be dicks, right? But you do have some people that just because they are critiquing or giving some advice or whatever, or some kind of suggestion, and it might even be in a critique group, they become rivet counter. And there's no reason to be kind of like that, right? Because you're obviously meaning malice by it. So don't do that. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Number 2, glossing before decals. So you've seen I've done several videos on it, and oh my goodness, lots of comments, like, I swear, there's certain things online where you get into this discussion, and it's like you insulted their mother.
Get off my lawn.
It's amazing. It's one of the first things when I first went to clubs and went, honey, there almost became a fist fight tonight over gloss paint. I don't know, this is weird. So, yeah. Now, with it, you've seen my videos and all that. My personal stance, and from looking at everything, do you need to gloss before decals to prevent silvering? No. You can use on even sandpaper the right solutions to make that decal work. However, there's some different phenomena with color shift and some other techniques where it's very much warranted, right? And so if you're doing it for those different reasons or a few other things with it, you're trying to protect the layer. There's a lot of different reasons where it's very valid, and I do it. But the thing that comes across is, oh my goodness, you gotta. And anytime those gatekeepers are saying, you must do it this way, it sends chills down my spine, right? It's, come on. So you don't have to, but if you are, hopefully we're doing it for the right reasons and not just sending dogma of, oh, well, that silvering happened because you didn't use future. That is where some people in the hobby are going to have an aneurysm. So keep in mind that. Now, before we get into number 1, and to be honest, is it really the number 1? I'm just listing them out. Don't think of me as David Letterman in this. It is what it is. But we've got some honorary mentions. So with the different groups of modelers, armor, ship, aircraft, there's a little bit of clicks to it, and then there's also some stereotypes to it, and some are actually fairly accurate and stuff, but it's kind of fun and interesting in the hobby. The Plastic Posse podcast had a good episode kind of discussing that. So yeah, take a look at that, but it's not necessarily a controversy, but man, you could start up something and be like, well, yeah, armor modelers tend to blah, blah, blah. And you might get into a long discussion with, oh, really? Well, so, yeah. And then, of course, with that is, which one is the hardest? Ooh, we get into aircraft. Aircraft is the hardest. But, like, actually, when I look at shipbuilding and some of the shipbuilding that I've done, I'm like, I'm not going back to that. That's too hard. So, it's all relative. There's different things with different elements of all of them. And if you're going in with modeling, I recommend that you do all the genres, because things that I've done with automotive have helped me learn to be a better airbrusher. Things I've done in armor have helped me become a better weatherer for aircraft. So it's good to get out of your comfort and build something that's not your traditional subject that you usually build. So this one, I don't know if it's controversy, and hopefully not, because Maybe I'm one of them, but selling out. So there's people in the hobby that, get free samples and stuff. And to be honest, I do. I've got some reviews that'll come in next couple days of some things that were given to me. Now, with it, my opinion is, as long as you're honest, you're cool. But if you're just like, oh man, this thing is a piece of crap, but you're trying to sell it and be like, but I'm an affiliate now, so I'm going to sell the crap out of this.
Well, that's where I see things just a little differently. Contract or no, I will not bow to any sponsor.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but basically it's the nature of the beast.
Maybe I'm wrong on this one, but for me, the beast doesn't include selling out.
That rubs me the wrong way. Like, why? I mean, it's just wrong. Be honest with it, and I will be honest with the product. You've seen some of the products where I'm like, great, this is just Chinese produced, but they stamped AK on it. So that a whole different subject. It's a little thing. Now, what paint you use can be also a little bit fun, and so I might even stereotype a little bit, but like the enamel users, some are auto and they kind of use those, and I see that. But the people that I see in military stuff that use enamel tend to be older in the hobby and not want to try new paint.
Sounds dumb, but fine. You people are nuts.
So some things with that, but you also get into acrylic, and I started out using acrylics, and when I moved to lacquers, it was a big change. But there's kind of some misconceptions of like acrylic is safe, lacquers you'll die from, and there's precautions you'll have to use. Yes. Is it worth it? I would say so. I've got a whole rack of lacquer type paints. Now, once again, and I'm giving you my opinion, but if they're saying like, you need to be using this, you're going to kill your dog if you use acrylic. I mean, if you use lacquer, like, you don't have an extractor? So there's some things with that. I might make a video just doing a few things about VOCs and some of the hazards that have gone through, because acrylic may smell better, but it's not 100% safe, especially if you're using some acrylic and you're just dumping Mr. Leveling thinner in it. It's kind of like you have Diet Coke and you put in some sugar. No. Okay, the final one. And looking at the list, I now think, oh, is this really the first? Is this the top one? Probably isn't, now that I think about it. Like I said, the number, the order, this is all for fun and awareness. So, washing your sprues. So there is some people that even said it's a spiritual experience to go wash your sprues, and you have to wash off the mold release and things like that. Now, have I seen mold release on sprues? Like twice, maybe 3 times. And I have hundreds of kits, so there's that. And maybe if you buy a lot of old kits when they had to use that. But really, if you look at the process of what we're doing and the molds and everything, there's nothing in there to, oh, this is where the person grabs the brush and puts on the oil, or oh, this is where they inject the release. No, the plastic has its own properties. They probably also have their own properties in the metal and all this, to where it releases and it doesn't need a release agent. So some people do that. But the other thing that's funny with it is they wash it, get all nice and good, and then they grab with their hands and Cheeto dust and whatever, and like, eh. So I don't know. It's kind of like washing your hands before you go to the bathroom. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's weird. And people like me, we like logic, and you're gonna make our head explode. And that's why I'm making this video, because you can tell I'm passionate about some of these subjects. So before you paint, doing some wash like alcohol and everything, good. But also when you try to wash, and I've even seen people put it in like a dishwasher, it's like so cringe. But you can lose some of the pieces, and people have lost some of the pieces down the drain or wherever in transit by doing that. And it's just really a stage that you don't really need to do at all. And especially, well, what if you got to do that because the parts have to be clean so you can then glue them together. No, the glue is a solvent that's melting the plastic. So you're saying it can melt plastic, but oil, it's like, oh, no. So hopefully this was fun and not just kind of something where I'm bashing on people. This is more to be entertaining. It's a very interesting hobby that we have, and there's just a lot of this where I wish I knew, because man, I went into a meeting once and it was a judging meeting. We talked about weathering, and oh boy, it was at my first nationals, and I kind of made a little bit of a ruckus because I said something that I thought was right about weathering and this and that, but then big uproar. Oh, no. And now I would know to shut my mouth about that subject when going there, because it's not going to come across too well. So there's some things with that. If you have anything comment-wise that I get something wrong, fill up the comments. If you want, I can make some different videos. And especially with IPMS, I don't want to hash up too much of the old subjects, but some of them are still kind of even happening and all that. If you want me to go in and give you my points, if there's something like, well, what do you mean about all these things? We can private message and I can tell you about what's going on and give you my input, or we can make a different video, but I kind of want to make this more entertaining and not bashing people. There's a lot of people that I know in those that are part of it.
You're talking about me as if I'm not here and as if I'm an extraterrestrial.
So, on both sides. So, anyway, thanks for watching. If you stick to the end, I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next video.